Well, hello everyone, and welcome back. Yeah, it's so great to see you again. Hey, my name's Ron Beaudry, and today we're going to be having a look at Black Sabbath, their self-title from 1970, Rhino reissue by Kevin Gray, remastered at Coherent Audio. And you get this little obi that comes on the cover, and it tells you that it's 180 grams. It's from the original master tape and redone at Coherent by Kevin, remastered, and it's pressed at optimal. But, you know, the original tape now is a UK tape. They sent a copy of that UK tape, and they sent that to the United States. And that's the tape, the Warner Brother tape that Kevin Gray used. He didn't have the original master tape. He's got the tape from United States tape that he's using. So I've got two records. The ones I have now, I have the Rhino, which comes on this beautiful Stoughton tip-on jacket, but it does have the original UK gatefold style. This was never a gatefold originally in the States or Canada. But they've done a beautiful job with the cover. This is exactly the type of product that I want when I buy a record. This is one of the reasons I got the record, because this is something that I want. If I'm going to go and spend the extra money to repurchase a record again, like something from 1970 that we've all basically got already, they better be up in their game, or it's not going to happen. And then I also have this original WWA press. It is from the UK. And of course, the track listing is different. They have Evil Woman, Don't Play Your Games With Me on side 2. That's the first cut. And on the US pressing, it was Wicked World. And so this is my original pressing of the record. And as you can see, it's really, really nice. I've had it for 50 years. I've had this record 50 years. And I have played this record hundreds of times, okay? And this is one of the things I was going to talk about a little bit about, records as a storage medium, right? Here's the record. I'll show you the record. I got it right here. For those of you that aren't familiar with the WWA pressing, this is it here. There's the label. And it does have in the dead wax, you won't show up on the camera, I won't try, but it does have VO6 in the dead wax, which is the same as the swirl stamper has VO6. So that comes from the swirl stamper. This is not a remaster by WWA. This is just, they got the stamper from Polygram and they pressed it. They're on this label. And this record now, like I said, is 50 years old. I've had it for 50 years. It's like 54 years old. I didn't buy it brand new. I bought it from, I was over at a friend's place and his neighbor had this record. And he knew I like records and Black Sabbath, and he said, listen, I've got a record that I think you'd like. He went over to his house, brought it over, and he said, you need to buy this record. If you like this band and you need to buy this from me. And I'm like, I've got a copy of the record. I don't need another one. He's like, no, you don't understand. This thing sounds fantastic. This is a great record. You need this in your life. And I was kind of saying, how much you want for? I think he said like $10. And I'm like, man, $10. So anyway, probably one of the best choices I've ever made. It's just a fantastic record. And I listened to it forever. Now, in the past, I have had the Artisan, which is the green label, the Warner Brother, the original pressing, the Artisan one. I had the Canadian pressing of that. And I also had the Rhino, that was 2012 Rhino that Ron McMaster repressed, that he remastered for Rhino, and that was pressed at RTI. And this this WWA pressing has always been my favorite. It's always sounded the best of all of the ones that I've had. But I was talking to some folks here a couple weeks back, and they told me that they thought the Rhino was better than the Swirl. And so I said, man, I gotta get the record. So it comes out, I was gonna buy, the original one, the numbered one, but they're all gone up to $100 or more, which I was willing to bite the bullet on that if I had to do it, because if it's going to be better than what I got, and this is one of my favorite records, well, then I'll have to do it. I don't like spending $100 on records. I really don't, because most of the records I've got now, I've purchased them over and over a number of times already, and I've already got a really hi-fi sounding record. And to go and spend $100, $150 to get that little bit extra, to me, it's not worth it most of the time anymore. I'm not really interested in that. Unless it's one of my very favorite records. Yeah, then I'm interested in it. So I got an email, and a fella told me, hey, they've reissued the record. Now, I didn't look at the website. They might still have some over there. If you want to go buy the Rhino, Rhino still might have some. They did here a couple days ago when I checked. But so comparing the records now, first I put on the Rhino, listened to that, and I've listened to it. I've had about 3 or 4 different sessions now where I've listened to the records, because as Kevin Gray says, the more you listen, the more apparent the differences become. A lot of times you'll put a record on, you'll listen to one track, then you put the other record, you'll listen to a track, and you'll say, really, I can't really hear any difference. But the more you listen, the more the apparent the differences are. And sometimes, as you know, you buy a record, a new record, a reissue, and you put it on, and boom, I mean, it's night and day difference. It's not hard to tell at all. And this was the case with this record. It's not hard to tell. Anybody that would come over to my house, sit in my spot, and listen to this record, they're going to hear the same things I hear. The WWA pressing is still the king. It's in my book. It's still got better bass. The highs are more defined. They're more refined. The Rhino, the highs on the Rhino are bright, and they're not really more highly detailed in any way. They're just brighter. And the hallmark of an audiophile record is when you can cut out that brightness and bring out more detail. That's an audiophile marker. And that's what the WWA press has on it. And the bass is stronger. I can hear more definition in the when he's strumming the bass. I can hear his fingers running on the strings. The drums have more impact. It's hitting harder. I can feel it. And even on the opening track where you hear the thunder on the Rhino, I'm just sitting there and I'm listening to it all. It sounds great. But when I put the WWA pressing on, when that second thunderclap hits, boom, I'm feeling my chair shaking now. I can feel it. Just like when the drums are hitting, I can actually feel it. Where in the Rhino, I don't feel any of that. I hear a lot of good definition. I hear a lot of bass, but I'm not feeling that energy. I'm not feeling hitting the chair, hitting the impact of it. And that was the main difference from what I remember. It's been a number of years now with the Ron McMaster reissue on the Rhino. That was what was missing from it. The main thing was with that impact, what was hitting really hard. That's what was missing from that record as well as some of the higher frequencies were not as detailed. And also the WWA press, Ozzy's voice has a lot more of that breath of life in his voice. He's got more of an edge to it where it kind of pierces, and the decay is a lot longer on his voice, which kind of translates into there's more echo. You can hear more of the ambience of the where it is he's singing, like he's in a church or something. You know, when he ends that, there's a longer decay in it. On the WWA, you don't hear that. And even that bell on the opening track, when the bell's tolling, I'm hearing the bell. I'm hearing it. That Kevin Gray remaster now, when the striking of the bell, the first strike of it, that's really impactful. You really hear that. And then you hear a small decay of the bell on the WWA pressing. The bell kind of is vibrating, it's oscillating. Boing, boing, it's doing that kind of thing, where the other one's just boing, you know. But the WWA is giving me more, I'm hearing more different frequencies in the bell, which is, it makes it sound more real, okay? And I played a number of tracks. I really concentrated on the first track mostly at the beginning because, you know, it's a lot easier just to drop the stylus on the first track on the side one and then just listen to that one. You can flip records back and you don't have to try to find this, you know, it's just a lot easier to use the first track, what I do a lot of times. And then I listen to a lot of other tracks and there's no difference. The WWA always sounded more refined, more audiophile-like in every way. It's just a lot. It's what I would say, and it's obvious now. What's the difference between the sound of an original UK press versus an original USA press when the record's made in the UK? That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing exactly that. So, another thing I wanted to talk about, when we talk about this WWA pressing right here, right? Look, this record's almost 55 years old, right? 54 years old. Look how nice it is. I mean, it's a well-made record. And the vinyl, I put it on there, it's dead quiet. There's not a tick, a pop, a click, nothing on it. Of course, I've cleaned it, and I cleaned the Rhino too before I played them because I wanted them to have the same cleanliness. I didn't want to have one that wasn't clean and one that was. So first thing I did was I cleaned the Rhino vinyl. I played them both a lot. But here's the thing I wanted to talk about, and I've determined this many years ago, as many of you have probably done the same thing. For longevity, is a tape going to be better? Is a CD going to be better? Or is that record going to be better? Because this record is 55 years old almost, and it sounds just as good as it did the day that it was purchased. And I played this record hundreds of times, and it still sounds amazing. It's better. It sounds better than the Rhino record, which is brand new. I don't hear any difference in groove wear or anything like that. I mean, it sounds fantastic, but I've always used a higher quality stylus on it. Even back in 74, I was using an ADC XLM, $100 cartridge back in those days with a nice elliptical stylus on it, tracking at a gram kind of thing. I'm tracking heavier now than I was back then, but the styluses are made better now. You can track it a little heavier. But 55-year-old record, and it still sounds, and in 50 years it'll still sound this good. In 150 years it'll still sound this good. Is a tape going to sound that good in 150 years? Right? Is a CD going to last that long? Because a lot of them, they don't, especially if you leave it in your car or something, and it gets heat on it, or a record, of course, too. You get heat on it, it doesn't last. But another thing I wanted to talk about is so where does this record rank now? Okay, because there's been a lot of reissues of this record, and one of the things I was just touched on it a little bit earlier, was that the Coherent record, right? Kevin Gurry remastered it at Coherent. And like he does the same thing with the Blue Note records. He masters them at coherent, and then he sends them right away because he's not that far away. It's just only a few miles away is RTI. He sends them over there right after he cuts them and he gets them plated over at RTI. And they're very good. They're one of the top 3, maybe they're the best at plating in the whole country. You know, they're top of the line over there. They do a fantastic job with their plating. And then they send it over to Optimal and get them pressed. Now, I read over on Michael Fremer's site, they said they were plated and pressed over at Optimal. So that's only one of the steps. I mean, all those 3 steps to me are very important. So I don't know what difference it makes, but I know the Blue Notes sound fantastic. You can't really tell any difference between the Tone Poet, which is plated and pressed at RTI, and the Classic series, which is plated at RTA and pressed at Optimal. So I don't know if that's making a difference, but like I said, the main difference I hear is the difference you would hear from a UK first press to a USA first press. That type of fidelity is the same exact thing that I'm hearing. So I have these other records, okay? These are reissues from '06. This is the limited edition from the original master tape, plated and pressed in the UK by Castle Sanctuary. Okay? These are '06. They did them in '06. And they come in nice gatefold covers. Very nice. And so I had the WWA press. So I got Paranoid, right? And Sabbath Bloody Sabbath on the Sanctuary. And I watched another fella, Scott, over at Pressing Matters. He just had the Sanctuary record. Okay, that was a UK press. That I think these sound fantastic. These were much better than the 2012 Rhinos. Because this is what I compared the Rhinos to. And this has the same sound as the WWA. It has that impact, it has the deeper bass, it has the more articulate top end. Just a really, really hi-fi product. And so the only one of those 2012 Rhinos that I thought sounded better than what I had was this Volume 4, which is, of course, was recorded in the United States. So the United States actually has the original, original master tape. But as far as being the quality of sound, you can't compare the quality on this record to this. This doesn't sound nearly as good as audiophile quality as this one. Because again, this is a USA and this is a UK original, right? So Scott had the Sanctuary, and he compared it to the Rhino. And he said that the Sanctuary to him sounded better. And I think he also was talking about how the this Rhino pressing, the highs were bright, and it didn't have as much bass, right? This is kind of basically the same thing I'm saying about the record. So I think that about covers everything. I think, got my opinion on the record. So where would it rank? I'd say I have never heard the Swirl record. So I really can't rank that one, but this is the VO6. It's the same stamper. But I can say that the WWA is by far the best sounding pressing that I've ever heard of this record. Number 2, and I haven't heard it, but I would probably go with the fellow over at the Pressing Matters and say that the Sanctuary is probably this second best one. Then the Rhino. And then, and that Artisan press comes in there too somewhere. Now, I used to have it. I haven't listened to it for years, but I did think that the WWA press sounded better. But A lot of people really like that record because it's got the bass on it that the Rhino doesn't have. This is what they, and this is one of the things about, you know, Black Sabbath. Them big power chords were kicking in, and the drums are booming and banging, and the fuzz on the guitar, and Ozzy's voice, all that stuff. You want it to be like it sounds on the WWA, right? So I guess that's my pecking order. And thanks for watching, everybody. So glad you tuned in today, and bye for now.